Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Prize, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Del Borovic as Morgan Rolls, and Josh Halbot as Gideon Vega. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band are searching for a portal. Valentyne claimed the seed and interrogated Gideon Vega. Attikus punched Forest Pollard to death, and Morgan tried to empathize with Gideon by sharing her own story. Can these heroes unite to escape the planet, or will they die before they trust one another? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
What are those things coming over the ridge? Stand back, all! Haldren Warwalker knows how to fend against... Final words of Haldren Warwalker. Morgan, you had sent Toby up to continue to scout as all of you kind of gear up and move on, having received some valuable intel from Tren Rakai about the nature of the seed, and having finally put Forest Pollard, the wayward World Leader Space Marine, to rest. All of you mount up on your bikes and kind of continue to pick your way through the wreckage of Greybridge.
I will say Valentyne got smart, and he realized he's a shit bike driver, and Attikus is worse. But he's seen two people who are demonstrating much more skill on bikes than previous. There is no third bike. Valentyne's going to ride with Morgan. Attikus will ride with Gideon. We just split the servitor. Lizardman is on the Morgan bike, and Jeffrey is now over with the other bike, but neither Attikus nor Valentyne are the least bit agile, and having driven past combat once, if Valentyne can join a better bike, he shall.
The irony of this being that Attikus actually has ranks in driving, it's just not bike specific.
Oh, so he could drive one of these bikes. He just thinks of it like a bicycle. And
I think that's what Tyler was putting down. So
the bicycle is just his own paranoia.
It's the word bike.
Yeah, well, he's looking at it,
he only knows one type of bicycle.
Because he couldn't roll drive when he rolled for a bicycle. So he's just assumed it carries over.
I guess
that's so funny.
If it's a bike versus something that has four wheels, maybe that's a different situation for him. But yeah.
But no, so I'm riding with Morgan now.
He's got 2 ranks. He's very good.
Oh, damn.
But
he also has 2 agility.
So that's fine. So you guys are sharing your bikes, driving forward. As Toby, you're still doing split vision with Toby?
Yeah, so I can at least scout out ahead, know where we're driving towards.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So leaving behind now the wreckage of Forest Pollard and the King of Greybridge, you are headed towards a settlement sort of in the distance, which you've been able to pick up. You can see kind of large, at a considerable distance, but you can see large, incredibly plain-looking buildings. They're huge. Like, we're talking office tower sized buildings. So there's clearly a city of some sort in the distance. But from here, it literally, there's no windows. It's just very blank looking structures, which, kind of fits the chaos motif. However, Toby does pick up scenes of a combat a little bit of a ways away. You can see 2 figures locked in what seems to be a sword battle. And around them, there are a bunch of Greybridge citizens and a couple of Royal Guard fighting as best they can against those little bouncing creatures that you saw earlier, as well as some larger ones that are kind of lurching forward. Do you roll perception?
Sure. And difficulty?
2, please.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, a setback for the swirling melee, and I'm going to give you another setback because you're driving.
Yep.
It's harder to keep the split focus. And Valentyne, you're on Morgan's bike?
Morgan's bike.
You don't want to dump the Inquisitor, so it's
stressful. You got to keep driving good. All right. That's 2 failures, but 2 advantages.
Okay.
So I can't.
So you can't make out who the figures are because there's too much shit going on. But yeah, there seem to basically be 2 champions fighting each other, and then a bunch of nonsense happening around them.
Then I'll just report back. Inquisitor, I'm seeing some. It looks like Greybridge citizens perhaps fighting. It looks like 2 champion melee, perhaps. I can't make out details from this distance.
Did either side of the combat have vehicles that you could see?
No.
No vehicles, just out in the midst of nothing.
Then this might merit, shall we say, a drive-by. Spotting it from a distance, not necessarily getting involved, but if it turns out to be important, then we can make a hard right, one might say.
And then she'll radio to Gideon. We're turning slightly. Follow my lead.
Yeah. So
Heading that direction.
Yeah, you and again, this is amidst the wreckage as well, but this is a more of a flat plateau type space. As you make your way closer, you can see a number of Greybridge citizens fighting off against these creatures, but amidst them, there seems to be a figure in sort of wrapped heavily in bandages, wielding a massive sword, one-handed, kind of with a gauntlet up their arm, battling against one of the creatures that you saw earlier, a sort of beaked aspect that's sort of floating around as he kind of swings the sword and strikes. There are Greybridge citizens around being swarmed by these small creatures. There are also taller ones lurching in behind them, spewing some sort of green substance onto them. But the champions seem to be ignoring all of this and just going at each other.
Valentyne will just jump on the combi. We're far enough away from the combat, I imagine we're not engaged, so you can almost give Morgan a tap to slow things down.
Mm-hmm.
Gideon, do you believe you could clear out this crowd of demonic entities using your fire, or what are the risks to us if we take part in this?
I could try. This is sure. Yes, I can try.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Morgan, I'd say we've discovered one of your strengths today, which is shooting at things from afar. Could you perhaps give a shot at the enemy champion battling against the Greybridge forces? We can discover if these are vulnerable to traditional weaponry or if the only weapon in our arsenal is Mr. Vega.
Yes, I can do what I can. And she'll turn the bike to a good distance, slow down, and basically set them up so that she can stay on the bike, but set up her sniper rifle and take a shot at this beaked, spooky.
And I'm sorry, you're aiming while driving, or you're getting
We're
parked?
stopping.
Yeah,
parking.
great. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I would say while she's doing that, Valentyne will pull out his auspex just to ping the local spot. So like she can focus on shooting, but if something's sneaking up on the bike, he can call it out.
Great. Okay.
All right. So do I need to just do a shot, or do I need to do a fear check versus this thing? Am I far enough away from it? Or I don't know how that works. But I had to last time.
Yeah. Yes, you will have to do a fear check. Honestly, for kind of all involved. Like you're not just looking at this creature, all the green things are also fear-inducing. So
right.
Let's get a fear check from you then, please, Morgan.
And it is
2
discipline, right?
Yeah, and
then
it's 2 purple, but they auto upgrade to 2 red, which I forgot to do last time. So
okay. This is going to be a tough one. I don't know if I get any boost or anything else from being far enough away.
Yeah, I can give you a boost for being far away. Seeing a horrible thing at distance is different than seeing it up close. I'll give you another boost for not wanting to disappoint Daddy.
Yep.
I think that's it.
Okay. I'm going to roll this how it is. Morgan, she did it. 1 success, 2 advantages. That was not really in my favor, but we did it.
Incredible. So what's your total damage then?
She
That
still
was
has to
just
make a
my
shot.
fear
That was just
check.
fear.
Oh, there's the
That was a
fear
fear
check. Right.
Now you can shoot.
Now I can shoot at it.
Yep. So
Okay.
it's horrible, but at least it's something you can see, and it's corporeal. Like you can see it's taking a corporeal form as it whips around this champion who's fighting it with the blade, such that like clean enough to shoot it.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's great. And then the difficulty on shooting it.
Your range is 3.
Okay.
You've got you had advantage from your perception
Yes.
check that we
So I'll
didn't
take
use.
that as
so
a
take
boost.
take a boost from that. Take a boost from your fear check. So that's 2 boosts.
Okay.
I'll give you a boost for it being distracted.
Okay.
I will give you a setback for it weaving around a sword fighter.
Okay. And then I will aim.
Yep.
So that's a boost for my rifle and 2 boosts for aiming.
Tom, is this a nemesis? So would the difficulty on this also be upgraded to red? Or is that just
no,
a
it's
fear check?
It's a specific fear quality for this guy. Yep. But
Great.
thank you for checking.
All right, so I'm going to roll it. We got 4 successes and 5 advantages.
Jesus.
Yikes. Okay.
So that is 12 damage,
What's your crit?
and the crit is 3, so I can crit once.
Nice.
I mean, at 12 damage, you don't need to.
Okay, great. Take it.
Yeah. So the side of its head erupts in a sort of greenish blue burst of flame, and it dissipates. And
I was going to say, I have an advantage pitch if you're both interested.
Yeah.
Can we pass it to the Greybridge forces who are fighting the demons that just lost the champion and go just give them 5 boost to whatever the narrative impact of that is?
Yes.
We leave that up to you, sir.
Yep. Okay. So the shot hits, and the champion lowers the sword. You can see he's wearing like a green tabard with sort of leather strapping across. Seems to be wearing a mask with a hood up, but just kind of like, despite your silence and everything else, just kind of like turns in your direction. Valentyne and Gideon and Attikus, is there what are you doing during this? Would you have done anything?
Valentyne has been watching the Auspex, keeping an eye on this. Once the shot's taken, Morgan, would you report what happened after you'd taken the shot?
Yeah, Morgan would just take the shot, and the creature dissipated, and then there's a pause, and she's like, he's looking at me.
Valentyne would now look over. The demons are obviously fighting. He'd be like, I believe it's time for us to do that drive-by we spoke about. We can try to run over some of the beings at the edge of combat. Engage physically. Attikus, use your fist. I'll use the power sword. Try not to get anything on you if it can be avoided.
And Morgan will sling the sniper rifle back down into the spot where it's been put on the bike and go back to driving mode.
Valentyne will just launch the skull that at this point has a pre-recorded announcer like, this is Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne of the Order Hereticus. I am here to support all Imperial forces. Do not fire on the 2 bikes coming. They are reinforcements.
And you see the champion kind of stand straighter at that. And as you kind of start driving in, like dirt and dust blowing up behind the bikes, you actually see him do a kind of antiquated but visible sign of the Aquila. And then he turns on the creatures around him and begins to just kind of dance between them, wielding it's a very like anime level sword compared to human, but just wielding the sword. You see him throw a telekinetic blast at one of these spewing creatures, all of which seem to be putting up absolutely no resistance to him, because he is also bedecked in like a weird, like he's gooey. And the Greybridge citizens are like thrilled, but also terrified, and are helping to kind of fight alongside him. We're really just getting in the way. But by the time you get there, these creatures have been put down. Perfect. And the champion is the Greybridge citizens are kind of rushing towards him. He's like gently wielding the sword out in front of him to keep like with point up at distance, and he just yells kind of to the bikes, "Is what you said true? Are you sent by the Emperor?"
Yes. He'll deactivate Eugene. Morgan, stop the bike.
Yep, pull up and stop the bike.
He'll climb off and deactivate his refractor field so that he can be seen by everybody, because he knows with the cap and the coat. It's all very...
and the Greybridge citizens are just like, oh, Lord Van Houten has saved us.
Valentyne is like, Valentyne just reaches up and hits the comm and says, "Go deal with the people," to Attikus.
And
Rolls
Attikus
on, you'll need to help. You can't talk.
See the shoulders slump, and then suddenly Duke is back, just back straight, walks out and just like gives a big like president waving from an airplane like wave to everyone. There's like applause and stuff, and then he starts pushing them away from the action.
Yeah, Morgan will stop the bike, get off, run up next to Attikus, and just, the Lord Van Houten suffered a grievous injury on his way to this planet, but he is still here to protect all of you.
And someone's like, and he brought an Inquisitor. He's so smart.
Valentyne's going to look back and just say, "Gideon, with me."
He shambles up next to you.
We're going to go talk to the champion while the crowd is just distracted.
Which is good, because the champion is like moving away from the crowd. And as you approach, you notice that he's not directly staring at you. He's kind of looking vaguely between the two of you. As you get closer, you can see he's wearing a metallic skull mask that just oozes with a sort of light green, almost mucusy material. You can see bandages wrapped around his mouth, stained through, a big brown hood up. And he doesn't hold the sword out at either of you, but he does raise a wrapped hand with his free hand. And similarly, you can see kind of poisonous bile soaking through his bandages.
Valentyne will stop it good.
Yeah, he just says, "Please, you must not come too close."
Yeah, comfortable kind of 10 feet away. Flash the sign of the Aquila and say, "Hello, friend of the Imperium. I'm Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne. This is my companion, Gideon Vega. Who are you? How long have you been here?"
"I am known as Oragath, the Plague Bearer. You must not step too close lest my infections infect you, Light of the Emperor. In terms of how long I have been here, I cannot answer, for time does not work here the way it does elsewhere. But I have been this," and he kind of looks at his gestures to the plague state. Says, "For some time, I was a soldier sent to investigate ruins. They said there were strange happenings, people falling sick. We found demonic host. I begged them to let my unit go in exchange for my own life. They let them go to their death and infected me with this. My eyes have rotted. My skin bubbles and boils. I spread contagion, and they brought me with them. They have dubbed me champion of their dark god Nurgle. And I have waited, oh, how I have waited, for the light of the Emperor to return, so I could strike a blow unto them as I die. Please, Inquisitor, will you help me kill the Filth Lord and avenge me and mine? Help me see my oath through in the name of the Emperor, please." And he flips the sword around, drives it into the ground, and kind of drops to one knee.
"Of course, Oragath. The Emperor has sent me to you, just as Gideon Vega was sent to me as we were sent to this world, to discover the truth. The Emperor's life is in danger."
"No."
"And as you know, the Emperor is the greatest threat to all of the dark gods. We have the ability to save him if we can make our way to a warp gate. If you can help us do that, you will strike the deadliest blow against the machinations of the gods that are possible."
"If I had the ability to shed tears, I would. Instead, all I have is this dark contagion, but know that it falls for the Emperor's plight, and with joy for you and your mission." He says, "I know the warp gate. Yes, I know it. I know the warp gate."
"Excellent.
"I can take, it will be difficult, but we must go to the Dreaming City. It is there with the forces of the Filth Lord. There is where we will go." And he stands up, flings the sword over his shoulder, and kind of pauses and says, "You must forgive me, Inquisitor. You have introduced yourself and your Vega. Who is this glowing figure between you?"
Valentyne just whirls with the disruption field on his power sword active. One of those pulling sword and strike at same time through the glowing figure.
Great. And as the sword hits her, she actually doubles over and just looks at you with betrayal and disappointment. And she just says as she doubles over, "Wilhelm put too much faith in you, Lucius." And she kind of is fading to mist as she kind of drops to one knee, and she just shakes her head and dissipates for the moment.
"That is a curse that I've been dealing with since I arrived on this world."
"I know too much of curses." He just nods. He doesn't need much more than that.
That's fabulous.
"Can I help kill yours?"
"If you can."
"Can I infect it? I am very contagious."
"I do not know the weapons that can harm it. That's the first time we've seen anything be able to strike a blow. Do you have your own method of conveyance? We have 2 bikes, but obviously cannot share them."
and he like gestures to all the slain Nurglings. He says, I was sent to track down one of the remnants of the Eternal Blasphemy's army. We were on foot chasing them from the Dreaming City. Inquisitor, do you know what you have fallen into here?
We have no information whatsoever.
And he just like shoulder slumped slightly. Everything was going so well. He's, okay. You need to understand that you have dropped into the end of a very long war between the forces of Tzeentch and the forces of Nurgle to control this world. Nurgle won. I am disgraced to say I helped, waiting to get close enough to the First Lord, but I have not had a chance. Now they are changing the Dreaming City. No longer will it create horrific nightmares to infect other planets. Now it will be a home for contagion. That is what they are going to use the Warp Gate for. I've tried to earn their esteem as a champion, hunting down the last of the Eternal Blasphemy's army, but still not good enough. There are remnants of the Tzeentch army here, and there are many Nurgle spreading their disease and their cursed plagues. We must be careful. They are currently in the process of turning the civilian population into, like points to the two poxbearers, like creatures such as these. They are spraying contagion on the walls, trying to make them more Nurgly. It will give us some cover, but it will be dangerous.
Yes, I understand. We'll need to move quickly. There is only so much we can do. We have 2 bikes. If there's something that we can place you within to drag behind us, we can do that if you don't have your own method of conveyance.
You can tie a rope to my feet to just take my sword. Please. I do not feel pain, but I do not want to lose this. It is a good weapon. They are hard to come by on this planet.
Gideon, take the sword.
And he says, make sure to disinfect it first. And he like steps back.
Gideon, burn it first.
I was going to get Jeffrey to.
Yeah. Gideon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Gideon,
Jeff, like,
make sure to burn it first.
Yeah.
I still say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I give it like a little cleansing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just take your traditional
I'll
strain.
drop a little.
And the Orgath so like stumbles a little bit as the flame comes out and says, you are most powerful. Good. We will need power. Jeffrey just kind of like totters over and picks up the sword kind of badly because he's a menial and flips it into his hand. So he's just carrying it out in front of him like a tray. He looks to you and like gestures like to a cleaning cloth and is like, clean?
Yes, that would be wonderful, Jeffrey.
He starts like cleaning the blade.
You have to hold it tighter, though, Jeffrey. It's valuable.
So Jeffrey holds it tighter but drops the cloth.
Oh.
And then looks down at the cloth and puts the sword down and picks the cloth up. And then picks up the sword, but the sword's too heavy. Puts the cloth away, flips the sword. And just looks at you with, again, just completely blank, horrific, squished face.
Is it all burned off? The sword? Yeah, okay, then.
Yeah, he's had that happened before he started cleaning.
Yeah, Gideon will just take it. Yeah, he'll take it.
Jeffrey's hands just turn over sadly and return to. He goes and gets back in the saddlebag.
Yay.
Gideon, do you sense anything from that sword?
Can I give it a look? A little Sinisians?
Yeah, let's get a roll for that.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy.
He just
I'm inclined to say this is like a. I don't know, maybe divination?
He only has pyromancy.
Yes.
I know, but like you can't really use pyromancy to like read the aura of a sword, but also
this like I don't know if this is so Sinisians. It's a psyker's ability to perceive the currents and eddies of the warp. Psykers can use it to detect the presence or absence of demons and the use of psychic powers.
Okay, yeah.
Also allows detection of warp disturbances, voids, or other areas where the flow of immaterium has been unsettled or disrupted.
Sure, I'd buy that. So what kind of role do you need to use? I'm unfamiliar.
It just says for them to use their perception skill to perceive warp phenomena, which would be invisible to non-psychers.
So we'll just do a perception roll.
Sure. Oh, because it's just they can feel the eddies. It changes their body. That's fascinating. I didn't even know about that.
Cool. It's fine.
Hell yeah,
It makes
Josh.
sense.
Yeah, I'll give it.
Yeah,
a
it's
But
just
they're
like,
they could feel the pool they're in.
yeah.
This is a warm spot in the pool. Oh, I'm near one of the jets.
Uh-oh, Zinch pissed in here.
I gotta
The
make it
warmth is
better.
30% piss.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So,
It's just a straight cunning check for me for perception.
yeah, I'm going to say for this difficulty 1.
Sure.
Yep.
Perfect.
Which will be... Oh, no, you're not using your psychic powers. You're
Well,
just
your
witnessing your psychic
psychic
powers.
eyes
That's
see.
fine.
Just vibing. Oh, damn. 2 successes and 3 advantage.
This is a mundane sword. You're not getting any residual warp energy off of this. To your eye, it looks like it's very foreign to you in terms of like these sort of large blades wouldn't be used on Greybridge. So you can't duel with this. It's very much, again, like the kind of sword that a sword fighter has to basically dance with if they're using it one-handed because it's just too much weight. So you can't kind of properly do fencing and that sort of thing, which of course would be much more your style. But otherwise, no, it just looks like a very old, very well-made sword.
Sure. Do I recognize any of the stuff that the guy is wearing or anything on the sword from Greybridgian?
I mean, he would look to you like a medieval knight.
Sure.
From like stories and fairy tales told on Greybridge, but the armor on his arm would almost look like something you'd see on like a suit of armor, an ornamental suit of armor. So yeah, this guy looks a little bit like a fantasy character come to life for you.
Sure. And I saw him use telekinesis too? Okay. All right.
Yep.
So he'll just know this is just a normal sword. I've seen these on Greybridge. It's just normal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
If you can store that on my back, that would be excellent alongside Morgan. Valentyne would like to look around. His idea is, obviously this guy's fine with getting dragged, but he doesn't want to do damage to this guy if they like take a bad corner or something. If he can find a big piece of metal, just something among the wreckage and some chain.
Like a sled?
He can
Yeah.
basically make a sled this guy can sit on. They can chain to the back of their bike, or rope to the back of their bike would be ideal, because then, if shit starts coming apart, if this guy goes nuts, he can just cut the rope and drop him. But it means they've got a safe way to transport him without him just bouncing off of every rock on the entire ground. as far as we're
Sure.
going.
Yeah. So as you start to look around, Attikus will just kind of like hold up a hand to the crowd and then point to you.
And Morgan's like, yes, he is overjoyed that you are all here still and alive. No, he's not going to talk about what happened on the wedding night. He would like to direct your attention to the Inquisitor.
Valentyne, as he approaches, will quickly just calm over to them and sub-vocalize put together a sled and attach it to our bike. This guy's an ally. Don't fucking touch him. His sword is in our saddlebag. That's fine. It's been scanned by the psyker. And then immediately just go right into the crowd, fueling himself a little bit with Eugene so they can go off to make a sled.
And it kills him to do this, but he's got to maintain the role a little bit because this is the play. So when you say what happened on the wedding night, knowing all the destruction, Attikus has a moment of looking a little bit confused and then just like closing his fist and putting it against his heart and looking a little bit crestfallen and like looking to you, Morgan, like, is this what people look like when they do this?
Yeah.
But he's trying to imply like the tragedy that occurred
and
is
Morgan's
so deep.
like, yes, he can't discuss it. It is such a new wound on his heart that the Duke is still missing, unfortunately. This is a very sad day for all of us.
And like people are legitimately devastated. So as soon as you give them that and give them the order to start making the sled, they're like, in the name of the Duke, like in the name of Duke Van Houten, and they start like chaining stuff up and going to work on it. You see like that shipwright who helped you. She's like missing an arm, but otherwise is alive, and it like she's giving instruction to kind of get everything chained up. But yeah, the people do a pretty quick job of it. They're happy to have a leader and not be eaten by nurglings. So all in all, 10 out of 10.
Valentyne will... This is just who he is. He'll scope out the various directions, knowing that there are other Nurgle forces in this area that are like looking for Tzeentch and other distractions. Whichever direction they are going, he's not going to include that way. He'll look at the other 3 cardinal points and see where is the most open space, where people would be the most visible. And then he is going to give a speech to this crowd, saying, I am Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, dear personal friend of Lord... now Duke Francois Van Houten. We are here on this world, but we will survive. The Imperium will persevere. We have reinforcements on their way here. We are the vanguard. All of you need to go in that direction. And he just points directly into the distance, but also where they will definitely get eaten, but distract whoever is here looking for us. And he will say, go forth. The royal guard await. Your compatriots await. The Imperium will succeed.
And Attikus nods and he like tweaks the voice box a little bit and manages to rasp out, "For Greybridge." And everyone's like, "For Greybridge!" And they grab their weapons and like take off as Attikus like spits blood. Like it took him a lot to force that out. The crowd like grabs their weapons and it's literally just like, mob rushing the Roman legion, just like running off into the desert, being like, arms up, weapons going.
Yep. And Valentyne will turn back to the group and say, it's time for us to set off. And he'll look to Gideon, who I don't think has seen Valentyne lie in exactly this spectacular format, and say, Gideon. He'll approach him and rest a hand on his shoulder. The civilians on this world are already lost. They will be feasted upon by their enemies. They will be hunted down by the dark gods. They will not make it through the gate. But we shall. Right now we need to use every asset at our disposal to get us through that gate and to save the Emperor. If we do that, all of these people will end up in a beautiful, glorious imperial heaven. We are saving their souls, Gideon. Their bodies are lost, but their souls will live on in eternity at the side of the Emperor as long as we keep him alive and safe.
I think Gideon is kind of just picking his battles at the moment. Like I think he sees that happening, and realizes that there's nothing he can do about it. He knows the reality of it, but the frustration I think is adding. But he's trying to like tamp it down. So he just yes, I understand.
You're like deeply aware that only fire. The only difference between you and them is that you have fire coming out of your hands.
Like that's right. Like easily, if I was in the wrong place at the wrong time and I didn't get this, I would be in the mix too. So he and I think he's coming to terms with the fact that he can do things on his own, but he knows like he can't help a horde of people do anything. So he just, I understand, Inquisitor. It's fine.
You're a good man, Gideon, and the Emperor has blessed you.
Thank you.
There will be sacrifices that will be made to make you a great man, but I believe you're capable of them.
I hope I live up to those expectations.
And Orgath will step forward and say, "It may not be my place, but if we can kill the Filth Lord, the forces of Nurgle will turn upon the forces of Tzeentch, and they will eat each other. It may provide some hope for your people. They may be able to eke out a living here if there are not two forces of chaos fighting each other. If they are both dead, then your people can rise. This could be, what did you say your planet was?
Greybridge.
This could be New Greybridge.
I've never objected to a sub-objective. We make for the gate, but if we can take the Filth Lord along the way, we do the Emperor's work, Gideon.
You can also leave him to me. I just need you to get me close.
I love when a plan comes together.
Okay, I'm going to go lie on the sled now. Do not touch the chains. I will do it myself.
That's gross.
Ties himself in and just makes some squingy noises, but he manages to get it.
I think this would be the first time that Gideon looks like even a little buoyed by like some idea of good news. Aww. And that you went along with it and it wasn't like an immediate like, no, fuck that. Just like I'll kill those people myself. Garbage. Yeah. So he looks like and he sees and then even when he said that he was like impressed by the psyker stuff that he could do, I think Gideon's starting to get a little like, oh, okay, all right, like this. Okay, we're gonna
coming up in the world.
We're gonna try our best here. So he likes a plan with like a glimmer of hope and not just bleak disaster at every
Yeah, we don't
turn.
have to leave just an epic shithole behind us where everyone's screwed.
Exactly.
Valentine's fine with, but obviously it's a
Yeah.
problem for Gideon.
Yeah.
I think at that point, Valentine's just good to mount up. He doesn't really have any other commands to be given.
Great.
I was going to say, we left that third bike a long time ago, right?
We did leave it a long time
okay.
ago, which is why he's on the sled.
That's what I thought. I didn't know if it was close
Valentine's
enough.
got enough gear. He would have hung on to everything, so he could pull another combeat out of a helmet and toss it to Sled Boy so he could give them instructions without having to yell at a motorcycle the whole way around.
What is this?
If you speak into that, you'll be able to hear us through it. Just wrap it around your ear.
Okay. And he just like pushes it in under his helmet. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Activate the bike, Morgan.
Morgan turns on the bike, big vroom vrooms.
Yes, see, now we can still hear each other over this.
You will forgive me, Inquisitor. It is very nice to hear a voice in my head that is not my own.
Forgiveness is granted.
Thank you.
He's on his own channel.
Yeah.
Valentine's not bringing him
He's
over to
bringing him
group
in and out,
chat
yeah.
immediately.
I like this guy so much. I want only the nicest things for him.
As he weeps.
As he
plague
weeps plague, I just want him to feel better and get healthy.
Hug from
Yep.
someone.
Yeah, just a hazmat hug.
Yeah.
Valentine will keep him on, like, when the guy talks, it'll come through, but otherwise it's off, so he can relay instructions to Morgan. But we can just hit the road.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So, mounting up on your vehicles, you begin on sort of the long road to the Dreaming City. Things start to get weird as you start getting away from the wreckage of Grey Bridge.
Oh, I'm glad they've been normal so far.
Yeah, I know. It's been such a delight. You see a variety of odd shapes kind of stepping out of almost nothing as you make your way. And this is like a slow convoy. Obviously, you're not like going at like breakneck speed. It's
Right.
let's cautious approach. But, you see an elephant sort of stomp out and then leave its legs behind, and the torso just kind of keeps moving, and then it drifts away. An actual honest-to-God dragon flies by before just dissolving into cubes and kind of scattering across the landscape. You see two lovers in a happy embrace just kind of meld into each other and dissipate. Would you mention any of this to Orgath, or are you just
Morgan
living through
would be, Inquisitor, are you seeing these things, creatures, or is it just me?
I am seeing the same things that you are. Maintain course, unless Oragath gives us new directions on which path we should be wandering. This is the path we have.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Valentine would also start just chatting with Morgan a little bit because she's clearly unsettled by chaos things more than he is. And if this is the fastest path, it doesn't matter if we all get a little bit fucking crazier. Oragath isn't like there are two paths. One is very long and the other, it really sucks. It's like, no, this is the path.
Right.
But
found
he
two
would,
paths in the forest and they diverged. I took the one less chaosy.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
It's made all the difference.
but I think over Morgan's shoulder, he would say, there was a recording from Eli, which I mentioned to you. And I want to make it clear, he is searching for us. I do not know where Eli Sharp is, but if there's one person we believe could get off this planet and find us, it would be Eli.
Yes, that is true.
There is no way for us to find him, or that would be on my list of considerations and priorities. As you know, checks his comm to make sure it's going to no one. I would sacrifice the life of every Grey Bridgian on this world to bring back Eli Sharp. I would sacrifice almost any other world to bring back Eli Sharp. People who are as capable, as loyal, as trustworthy as you and yours and mine. They do not come lightly in this galaxy. I do not treat them lightly. I do not trade them lightly. But we are Inquisitors. Trades must be made, which is why we cannot search for Eli Sharp at this moment. But when we arrive at Terra, a big hit even for Valentine, I will make sure that a universal pardon is sent for Eli Sharp and guarantee that he is shipped to us via the Inquisition wherever he is uncovered, should he find himself embroiled in any sort of conflict, fleeing what I can only assume is a demon world.
Maria just blinks her eyes, which thankfully there's tons of wind and like stuff like that, so she's not like crying outwardly, but that definitely hit her in a good place because, yeah, that that always was a concern for her, mostly of herself, because again, Morgan can't empathize with anyone but herself. So him saying that about Eli, she's taking it as a comment about her, because she's a narcissist.
Valentine's a sociopath, so he meant this to have this effect on her.
This is perfect. It's so perfect.
Sounds like the start of a bad joke.
Yeah.
Like a narcissist and a sociopath walk into a bar. Oops, Inquisition.
Yeah, 100%. So she's taking
Which
it
one of them cries
exactly-
first?
Yeah.
The
It's
bartender.
always the
It's
narcissist.
always the narcissist.
It's only the narcissist.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's perfect. And so she takes it exactly as it's landed, and that just like solidifies more her choice to be like, yes, this is what I'm going to ride or die, because it's speaking her language, which obviously he learned from listening to her, but for her, it definitely hits her, and she just says, "Thank you, Inquisitor. I have to tell you that strange, glowing woman, she must be in my head as well, because at first I did not recognize her, and then she appeared to me as Rolsvarn. So whether she is appearing as such people to attempt to shake us, though Gideon saw her as his mother."
I can only assume that she is. Between appearing to you and appearing to Gideon in multiple forms, she also name-dropped my former inquisitorial master. There are things at play, though striking her with a sword at a time she did not expect, it appeared to have dealt her a blow. She seems to have been masquerading as helpful, though we are continuing on the same path that we were already on, so I can't know if that's true. We have to assume that she is dangerous. We cannot treat with her, though I may be forced to attempt contact if things become more desperate.
I understand. I'll let you know if anything changes from what I see.
There's one other change that I must ask about. You've decided to take up the rank of interrogator. We've not been able to communicate fully in some time. What led to this change?
Morgan's kind of tilting her head a little bit. When fighting that creature during the hunt, I thought it would be the end, and all I could think about is that I didn't want to let down the Inquisition and let the Emperor die. So if that is what we are about, and you can teach me more, then I wish to learn more.
And I will teach you everything I know.
Thank you, Inquisitor.
Thank you, interrogator.
While that conversation is going on, I think Gideon would have flipped his little, what are they called, beads?
Yeah, combi.
Microcoms. He flipped it over before they cut him off to try and have a private conversation with, is it Orgoth?
Yeah, Orgoth.
Orgoth,
Yep.
yeah. So I think this would be the first time that he's seen somebody who also has psyker powers and who's also from Greybridge. So I think he would switch it over and then kind of meekly be like, Orgoth?
Yes, are we there?
No, I'm sorry. This is Gideon. I was just wondering if I know this is not a great time, but maybe I could ask you a few questions.
It is a fine time. I have nowhere to be. I am strapped to a sled.
Rocketeering through the desert.
I am on my way to fulfill an oath I swore on a long forgotten planet against an asshole. This is the perfect time for chit-chat. You forgive the dust in my mouth.
I'm just wondering how you manage the influence of the warp. This is new to me. This has only happened a few hours ago, and it is overwhelming.
A few hours. That is terrible. I have been inflicted with this curse for longer than I can. I cracked. I have been inflicted with this curse for longer than I can remember. But I do recall the first moments, feeling all of the plague pour into me, feeling my eyes melt in my skull. It was a moment of true terror and clarity, and with it, I no longer could see with meat, but I could see with my soul. That to me is what the powers, these psychic powers feel like. They feel like a channeling whatever energy makes up Oragoth within this putrid, blistering, decaying meat sack and forcing them into the world through my hands and my will. I view it as releasing bits of my soul like air from a balloon until there is nothing left and this decaying flesh mass can fall to nothing. You do not need to view it that way. That is just how I have reconciled it. It gives me a sense of freedom within this prison.
That makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that, but when you found purpose and you found resolution within the demand of the warp, how did you resist wanting more?
It is an interesting thing when you become a vessel for plague and contagion. I have more. I have so much more. I could destroy worlds with a touch. I can kill merely by brushing against someone. Nations and planets have spent their entire scientific lives preventing me from existing. I do not want more. I want less. That is how I have resisted. And my oath is not a glorious one. It is not noble. I wanted to protect my fellow soldiers. I wanted to protect my friends. And I got them killed. I hope they go to the Emperor as we all wish to do. But now I hear he may die, and that would be very bad indeed. I saved them from this, but not from death. I feel cheated. I feel betrayed. I feel anger. They wanted me to turn those things on other human populations. They misjudged the wrath of man. And now, with your help in this Inquisitor, I shall bring it to them.
Thank you, Orca. That is very helpful.
You know, once I kept a journal. At the start of all of this, I thought perhaps if I could capture the thoughts and feelings of this, someone could learn. It could be taught, it could be avoided. And then I felt my eyes melt inside my skull, and my ability to write became worthless with the contagions and the goo. There is so much goo. I thought all of these thoughts would die with me. It is nice to share them with you.
This guy might have the funniest, worst life in all of 4K.
This is so
Sweet though.
We're so used to like incredibly eloquent villains, and it's just like a poetic, not very smart man who got real sick.
It's so
Good for him.
it's such a nice, but it's also like it puts into perspective. Gideon's having a shitty day, but then he's like, oh, it must be nice to have eyes. That's it. Are you having a bad day?
Gideon finally found somebody else where he like doesn't believe Valentyne and them had worse days.
Yes.
Then he met Oragoth and it's like, oh,
There's worse days.
bad day.
So I think this has been a very valuable, not only the conversation about psyker stuff, but also like giving him a lot of perspective to of like, you're right. I did not think it could get worse, but it clearly can at every time. And I think that journal idea, that's a very good idea. I might use that if that's okay.
I would lend you mine.
No. That's thank you. Let me stop you. That's quite all right. I can have Jeffrey has one. It's fine.
Okay.
Thank you though. That's very kind.
It was a joke.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Josh Halbot, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC.com. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum-Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Mithrian, Garbo Ape, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, The Gata Family, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Beef Not Cheese, Kai Koa, Squire Solaire, Sandy Sassy Pants, Adam, Amira Lockhart, James Molina, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.